Well, we're excited to get the year started. The guys will be here to eat 23 and 4:30, and then uh, obviously there's some teams going now. I mean, we're granted 31 days to go 25 practices. We just felt like camp's long enough as it is, with less full pads than what we've ever had before. We decided to go ahead and just bring them in the 29 days before to get our 25 in. They'll have the first Wednesday off, and then Saturdays after that. We'll scrimmage in 2 weeks, and then we'll start prep about 10 days out for Western Carolina. But we're excited about getting it going. It's going to be hot. We understand that. We have adjusted our times. We're going to go in the AM. With it being over 100 degrees over the next 3 days, we're going to have practice in the AM. So we know we're in condition. We've been conditioning in the heat all summer. We're trying to have some really good practices, so we have plenty of time to get them acclimated to the heat. But right now, we've decided to change our first few practice to the AM.
Yep. Schedule looks the same as last year, except for the time changes and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything based on maybe your past experiences or how fall camp went last year, anything that you plan to change in your approach to how you're doing things?
Well, we changed different periods. Certainly the emphasis that we had from last year, whether it be third down, whether it be short yardage, whether it be getting off the field on defense, our goal line package, our third play four versus two play three. Those things are in our practice schedule. We also have done a little bit of different with our ball security period. We're doing more bubble stuff. We're doing more half line pass. We're doing some things in that part of it, along with fastball starts. Trying to get our team a little more physical and trying to start that early in practice.
Coach, I was going to get into that, so I figured I'd ask you. Compared to, you might be better to ask, compared to how things were run last 8-week summer cycle, how are things different? What were some of the approaches that he made, and what was changed?
Well, we lifted 5 days, which we didn't last year. In a lift day, there's always a condition part of it. Now there's emphasis on conditioning, team run, and things of that nature twice a week. They run each and every day. But we went 5 weeks this year of lifting, where last summer we went 4. I think that the culture, the attitude of the team is outstanding, as good as it can be in this climate of portal and NIL. So we're obviously bigger, which has a lot to do with the nutritionists as well, but we're bigger. Our body fat count is down. So a lot of good things, positive things. And I just feel like our team, we pressed them pretty hard. It's hot, and we pressed them hard, and there's no bickering, anything of that nature. It was just, we don't want to repeat last year. If we're going to repeat it, we need to go back to 2 years ago. So obviously we need to change a few things. That's what we did.
Following up on that, so when we talked to Ben, we'll ask him this too, but like individuals who really impressed. For instance, we saw Landon Jackson, he put on weight. I wonder if there's some other guys that kind of rose, to the top.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of them. Hudson Clark, ended up gaining about 12 pounds this summer, which he needed to. We asked him to go in there and fill the hole on the running back, and he hadn't had enough, behind to fill it. And he's there. He just can't get him on the ground that time. So he's one that sticks out. Obviously, the D line has done a really good job. Devin Manuel was thin, couldn't handle, hard to handle a bull at what he was in the spring. And now I imagine he'll report about 308. I think he was 306 when he left. So, just a lot of positives. Remember, squatted 700 pounds, things of that nature that just a really good overall program for all of them. I'd like to ask Ben. He would be able to rattle them off faster than me.
At media days, we asked you about Felt like depth.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like maybe you increase the depth after?
Well, linebacker was certainly something because we haven't really had anybody play a lot of reps there, so after spring ball, I felt like we could have, with Jaheim coming in, I feel like we could have, two rotations there, a couple rotations where we could have some guys. Obviously, we talked about the D line. Wide receiver, and it wasn't just the guys that we brought in. I thought it was Bakke and Sategna and Jaden Wilson and those guys coming on, that you think, because they're fast, and they did a nice job. Competition, I think, really helped the entire team. And but that would be it. Running back was running back. Tight end would probably be one of the biggest things that happened from the spring ball to now. Not only with the guys that were brought in, but the guys' development over the summertime.
And I guess there were several transfers and then some freshmen that weren't here for spring ball. What have you heard about those guys over the summer? How anxious are you to see them on the field?
Well, we've been able to work with them a little bit. The rules have changed a little bit, Bob, but there's definitely, we're going to two spot our first 2 days at least, and we'll have two spots in more than just our first 2 days, but there's a reason for that. And we're going to divide it up, what we might think is our one depth chart and new guys. And basically, we've got to get Jaheim Thomas and Kiwi Rose and, whomever these guys are, Francis Sherman, those guys, we got to see those guys develop. So we'll probably go 2s and 3s on one field and 1s and news on the other, so we can get an early eye and often eye on the guys that weren't here at spring ball.
Up against Cincinnati, top 20 ranked team, a top 25, and coming off a playoff appearance this year, you open up against an FCS team. No disrespect to Western Carolina, but do you approach camp differently when you're playing an FCS, opening with an FCS team versus a team coming off the playoff?
Well, I don't think so. I hope not. We're trying to approach camp on us, and us getting better. Again, we still have a lot of new faces, and that's not only on the kids, but the coaching staff. Most of our guys obviously went through spring ball with our new staff, but we still have quite a few that we've got to figure out if they're going to help us or not this year too. But I don't think, our deal is that, in all honesty, we didn't play well against the teams that we were favored to beat. And so we lost that chip at times. And so we have to coach that way. We have to feel that way and all those things. So we just got to get back to old Arkansas football. And we started that obviously in January, but I really like where we're at. I like the hunger of the team and things of that nature. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't think it'll affect us much because we got a lot of work to do on ourselves.
One, he wanted to know, like, year 4, are you entering August? Are you more confident than you were first 3 years in the team right as of right now?
I really like this team. Obviously, for me, I'm still learning. I'm not for sure if you ever quit learning. Probably if you quit learning, then you probably quit getting better, and Lord knows we owe it to the state of Arkansas to field a really good football team. But probably not a lot of difference in year 4 than before.
Okay. And he wanted to know, how do you manage the game week, the more physical game week practices as the season goes along, when injuries will start to mount?
Yeah.
You talked about more physical game week practice. How do you manage that?
Well, you have to either go Spiders on Monday. I mean, let's face the facts. You can go full or you can go shells on Tuesday or Wednesday, but it's the same thing. I mean, you're not tackling to the ground, so having those little knee things in there is not going to make a whole lot of difference if you're not tackling to the ground, which we don't. Now, we do a lot of good on good every single day but Thursday. But I think the biggest thing is, we'll have air conditioning indoor, so, we can take a little bit of that heat off of them, because that's always a concern when you have so many games back to back. But what we'll do, if we feel like we've got a beat up team, we'll go spiders on Monday, and then shells, and then spiders on Thursday. And that way we can kind of save them. Probably starting out the year, we'll probably go shells full, and we'll probably go spiders on Thursday, even at the beginning of the season.
Just the schedule, the way it's laid out, is got some difficult road games there,
Yeah.
especially early in the season, SEC. How important is it to take care of those 7 home games this year? How to win those? I mean, I know it's always important to win
Yeah,
home
it's a
games,
big
but it's
deal.
even more important this year with the way the schedule's laid out.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us. They ran bleachers the other day with the emphasis on our 7 opponents. That was a really good job by Ben and his staff. But no, I think winning at home, obviously there's a lot of things you don't have to do when you play at home, and it's travel and sleep in a different thing, even though we're sleeping in a different area, even though home you go on a Friday night and don't stay in your house, but you're familiar with your surroundings and things of that nature. So it's a big deal for us. We're just going to try to win one at a time. I know that's coach speak, but that's really what we're doing. If we can, we can win and get better each week. I really like our schedule. I really do. It's different than playing 2 or 3 top 25 teams and all that. And we have high respect for who we're playing, but it's different. It gives us a chance, if we play well, to build up into something nice, but we've got to take it one at a time, and we know that.
Coach, we've already had a couple of questions about the gains and weight that the program's made this offseason. Did that take on any added emphasis, just going with the new offense this year, not so high tempo and spread, but maybe getting back to some more physical offense?
Yeah, I think, obviously we led the nation in rushing and Power 5 a couple years back and things. So we've always tried to be physical and things of that nature. I think there's more emphasis on details. Certainly, will be formationally, will be quite a bit different. We were a lot of 11. That's just boom, 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 because we were playing fast. We wanted to stay in that. A little bit of very slight amount of 20 personnel last year. I think you'll see the tight ends used a lot more this year than what before. But when you're a check offense, and we will do that at times, you're checking because you're saying this is the best look and we're better than you. I mean, guys that are in check offense, just like we were at Georgia my entire time there. Sometimes we were, sometimes we weren't, but we believe that we were. And there's a lot of emphasis put on, the mind strong, and hopefully that makes us a more physical. But going into the off season with the weight room, that was, obviously we knew Dan was different than what KB was, but we need to be more physical. And in all honesty, the most disappointing thing of last year was not between the 20s. It was inside both 20s on offense and situation football. And as good as we weren't very good on either one of those cases. Is this cold or hot, or it's just for looks? Well, like some old back coat in the job. Boy, it was good. How long has that been sitting there? It's great. That'll be the last of that.
Real quick, Coach Adams shared that you let him go see Jordan play, and on the eve of fall camp. Just what was that conversation like, and have you been paying attention at all to Jordan today?
I did. I looked at him. I know he hadn't got a hit in his first 2 at bats, but life. We make, and not just football. We make a lot of things a little bit maybe more stressful, more important than maybe what they are. All I did was I adjusted what I was going to do with the coaches today as a full staff. So I went and I met with the coordinators, which they're here. And I was going to do that tomorrow. But I just adjusted my schedule so Deke and Alexis could go see him play, and and he'll be back tonight and be here tomorrow. And we're not gonna make a mountain out of a molehill. A man called NASCAR to go see his son in his major league debut. And absolutely.
Like your offensive line, Henry Hampton. I guess just what do you want to learn about the
Oof.
group? next
I like
week?
Bo a lot. I like Brady. I like Braun. I like them all. But I knew a little bit more about Braun. You know, he's played, I don't know, 700 snaps or something over at Florida. Obviously, Bo, I think moving Bo to center is going to help us as a football team, and I know it's going to help him as a draftable offensive lineman. What we've got to do, in all honesty, we've got to make sure that our tackles are right. And I believe in both tackles that we have. I believe in further deep. I believe in Chamblee. I believe in Harris. I believe in Crawford. We got to find out who's going to help us win at tackle. We believe that Kudus is ultra talented and Devin Manuel. And so we've got to find that. And to be honest with you, the next question is who's going to play, who's the next center. So if it all works out the best, Brady Latham won't move to left tackle if something happened to the starter. He'll stay at left guard and we'll plug one in. We won't make two moves for one loss. If something happens, Street or Amari Wiggins or somebody will go in there at center, so we don't have to move Kudus from right tackle to center. If we could get a true 2D, which we haven't been able to do since I've been here, and it's hard to do. You usually talk about 8 guys and they're rotating and all that kind of stuff. But man, one move turns out to be 2, and you really don't want to do that if you can.
But when you look at Brady and you look at Bo, what's the conversation with them and their experience to how they need to set the tone in that offensive line room?
Well, I think both of them are more of do by example. They're not loud, which not vocal. In other words, like Bo, you would think because he's so strong, but he's not. He's by example. You know, like I said, he squats 700 pounds. He's strong and works his tail off. So those guys they don't say a lot unless something's wrong, and then they'll fix it really fast. But this is their last go round. I think they're looking to, they've been in a comfort zone a little bit because the guys on their left, guys on their right. They knew Ricky being here between the two of them and all that kind of stuff. It's their time now, and I think they're going to embrace it, and I think they'll have fun with it.
You know how much Danny likes to use those tight ends. And so do you feel comfortable with the guys that you have in that room to fill those holes and execute that tight end position?
That was somebody's question. I think it might have been yours. That's the one, that's a position. It might have been, I don't know whose question it was, but that's the thing, the tight ends. How are we going to be serviceable? Are we going to be pretty good? Are we going to highlight them? And I don't know what the answer is yet, but boy, they can run, they can catch, and they are bigger and more physical than we've had at that position. So, obviously the potential's there to use them. And we'd like to because they can run. Now, I believe that we've got 2 or 3 of them that'll be matchup problems for defenses if we can get them on the field.
Running back position, we're going to have Jimmy Smith in here pretty soon. I think maybe Friday, pretty quick. So I thought I'd ask about those. How extraordinary is it to have 3 guys who've been with you? This will be their 3rd year at the position. And Dubinion will be a 2nd to have that kind of depth at that position. And then what have you seen of Isaiah from summertime since he's gotten here?
Yeah, a good coach keeps his players out of my office. And then that's what happens. And they come in to visit, but it's not, hey, Jimmy does a great job. They respect him. Obviously, we haven't gone in the portal there. So that means 2 things to me. 1, we're recruiting really well there. And 2, there's not conflicts in there. which there could be because, you know, you've got some good players in there. You know, Damo, now I believe is going in year 4 with us, and you know, Rocket and AJ is 3, and when I know what you meant by 3 because Damo didn't play last year, but you know, with R-Dub, and R-Dub was, I think he was offensive MVP of the bowl game and all kinds of stuff. So I just think we're very talented in there, and all of them had really. R-Dub had his best summer by far. He's in shape. There's power of being in shape. It's powerful. It feels a lot of confidence, you know, being in shape, and he's in good shape. So, and then Isaiah, he's big, can run. I like him. I don't know how fast he's, you know, he's picking up things, smart, but he's a big, good-looking kid now that can run. And so we'll see if we can't get him in there. But, you know, right now we've got a whole lot of guys with need a lot of touches, you know, especially with Damo coming back. Damo's bigger, a little bigger than what he has been before. So we'll see what kind of shape he's in.
In your own mind, what are the biggest questions you want to answer during this camp? I think you've touched on a couple already.
Yeah.
But what
Those things I talked about in the tight end room, those things I talked about O-line wise. Who's our backup quarterback? Will Criswell press KJ? You know, obviously he has the opportunity to do that. Everybody has the opportunity to press somebody. Defensively, is the D line what I think it can be? And then where are we going at linebacker? I think we have the people on defense at corner, but we've got to figure out who our top 5 guys are and where they're going to help us win the fastest. You know, I know it's going to sound silly, but I think we're a little more deeper at corner than we are at safety. And so when and who are they better than the safeties we have back there? I don't know. We've got to figure that out. Are we going to move a corner to safety? We'll have to figure that out. Snacks would be the one I would be thinking off the top of my head that, you know, possibly could move to a hog or something like that. But we've got to make sure that we can man coverage at corner first.
You know, that question, you covered it pretty much, Coach. I got you at 9 seniors on the defensive line. And I know there's 4 categories of seniors, super seniors, and all that stuff now. But when you're talking about guys that are 22, 23, I think a couple of these guys will be 24. What have you ever been a part of something like that? I mean, obviously it's a different landscape now, but what does that mean to have such older veteran players up front?
Yeah, it's big. You know, with those guys electing to come back, and then I think even after this year, it's going to be big to see who we can keep back for their +1 year. But I think, you know, when you recruit to a 3-down line, it's hard to get too deep at 8 guys. But somehow Deke's done that, and we feel really good about our 2 deep, and they're, like you say, they're older, and certainly feel good about our transfers that came in.
This year, right?
120. Yeah.
What is the
But
reason?
that's it.
Yeah. What's the reason that they moved to that, and you're still expecting everybody? What are some benefits that maybe you can do with 120 versus 120?
Well, 120 allow you to 2 spot without having to double up guys. The only problem we're at depth chart wise right now is offensive line. Now we have 20, but if one gets nicked up, then you know you're going to have, you know, split extra reps with somebody or somebody's. The rest of the depth chart looks, I think, pretty good to be able to 2 spot. That's the biggest thing for me, especially in this day and time where you've got so many new, you know, guys that came in June. We've got one that coming in today, tomorrow, you know. So that's the biggest thing. And I think they needed to do that so you could, you know, you can't evaluate a guy taking a mental rep. You also can't beat nobody out taking a mental rep, you know. So you have to get out there, and that would be the biggest advantage to me on that. But you know, you can only carry 121 school starts as well. So we carried 125 this summer.
Got it after some media days that everybody's healthy. I know in spring we were looking at a bunch of
Yeah.
guys banging on tractor tires and stuff on the side,
Yeah.
doing ropes. You still expecting everybody except for Quincy?
Perry Wells would be one that is going to be out for a while. He tore his pec, and man, he's had some bad luck. But Terry would be one, so we just activate somebody else. But that would be one, and then I think the rest of them. Now there'll be some on kind of like Damo. We're not just going to run him out there and let him do everything. I mean, he'll be at every position drill, every team, he just won't take as many reps as what he might later early. But other than that, we should go out there and Dave should be over there by himself, not doing anything, at least for a while.
DBs, Al Walcott, Singletary, Keon Stewart, Braithwaite. I know Walcott was here, but where will they be position wise, and what might you expect of those four guys?
All right, so you talked about Al. He'll probably be at the boundary safety. You talked about Keon Stewart. He'll probably be at the field corner. Singletary will probably, I don't know, he'll either be at the boundary or field corner. And then who else? He'll be at the hog position. It's kind of a Sam Willie linebacker removed, the guy who can tackle and the guy who can cover. Let me see here, hog. Let me see who all's at the hog on this list. I don't want to tell you wrong. Jalen Lewis, Brathwaite, Jabray Shaw, Dallas Young, and Snelling. Those would be the guys at that position to start the first day.
A position you want to see someone or just see stuff from Jaheim Thomas from Cincinnati. I guess we haven't really talked about him. We didn't see him in the spring. What have you seen from him this summer?
Long, can run. Obviously, we played against him last year, saw him on tape. Athletic. We like him. I think he's a good player for us. Obviously he played a lot of ball for Cincinnati, so we saw that there, and we saw exactly what we thought we would on tape.
Said something earlier about the players running the bleachers with their 7 home opponents in mind. Can you elaborate on what that looked like?
Oh, they just ran. They did a whole bunch of stuff. It was a fourth quarter deal, and they was over in each corner and stations, and when they went into second quarter and they ran time sprints, and then they went back in different stations, and then the last quarter they went to into the stands and ran 7 for each team that were playing, and then came back down and had a minute and a half the first one and 2 minutes between the other two, get back down and start back again.
It's good to have your players do their conditioning in the heat of the day this summer. Kind of, can you take us through your thought process into that?
Well, we have to get tough. I mean, there's a lot to be said about mental toughness too, and you gotta get tough now. And you go in the morning, you go in the afternoon, you go at night. We just elected that we want to put them in the hardest situation we possibly could.
Talk about Thomas, take that Thomas a little bit. We saw a little bit of a 4-3 kind of look. Is he a guy that you would envision? It looked like you were using bigger linebackers on that outside spot. Is he a guy you envision kind of maybe working in that role?
He is. Yeah, he absolutely is. People go real big on us, which not many people do anymore, but if people go real big on us, him, Manny Powell, bigger guys could go in there and basically play that Sam or Willie in the box for us.
Listed at 242, I think.
Yeah.
You like that weight on him?
You can't do nothing about it. You'd have to cut skin. I mean, you pinch him and nothing moves. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, we talked to the nutrition and we talked to Ben about it, and He's 242 and there's no, I mean, there's no fat there. So I don't know what you do with it, but he's in shape.
The AC in the indoor workout, how long have you guys been trying to get that done? And seriously, how big a deal is that? And when is it supposed to be operational?
Let's see, next Wednesday, they need about 5 hours and that's our off day. So off days you can meet with them. So we'll have meetings and we'll be out of there by 4 or 5 on that day. And then they're going to have a power outage over there and they're going to set it up. And I'm told it will be ready to go next Thursday. And it's going to be huge because if you look at it, we had the 8-game schedule 2 years ago. It was hotter than hot in October. And you're constantly worrying about fatigue. Now you're playing game 6, you're playing game 7 and all this stuff. And you can't get away from the heat. Indoors with the air conditioning, you can. And, I was at some places in 2 days, in fall camp, they'd go out twice and one in, out twice and one in, for the fatigue. Well, we can't come in. At least we haven't in the past. And that was a big concern for me. But we can solve that problem now.
Talking a little bit about tight ends, and we obviously saw Luke Taz and the other guys, but Barquise Gums. I'm curious about him. You talked about Sherman a little bit, but curious about Barquise. Does he remind you of anybody, and what kind of impact did he have?
I don't know that he reminds me of anybody, but he's very fast. He can run, physical guy. He can do anything. He can run, catch, block. Is now 240 some. He's able to do that too. Washington got bigger. Bax is in there. Sharp, to be honest with you, Francis, we got because we needed an inline blocker. We knew how aggressive he was and things of that nature. And then a guy that hadn't been talked about much is Shamar Easter, who is now at 220. And he'll be a guy, I think he's going to be really, really a good player. It's just, we'll find out how fast he helps the football team. But Gums is a guy that can, he looks like he's played college ball before, when he goes out there and he's running around. There's another guy that we didn't have, in spring. So 2-spot will help us there as well.
Why the first practice in the spring was a 2 tight end set? Is that just kind of an indication of how often and how important that is to Van's offense?
Oh, it might be. It might also be that we just want to set a tone that we didn't lose our physical. We didn't lose every game last year. I mean, felt like it at times, but you can't lose your physicality, and at times we did. And so probably we wanted much clang as we could get out there in the first play. That's probably what we did.
It's a ton of Paris day. He's on a line in high school with 3 Power 5.
Who?
Paris.
Yeah.
3 Power 5 and got Alabama, Illinois, and Arkansas. Have you come across many high school lines like that? And just what'd you think about that? And then playing on a line like that.
Well, I'm so messed up. You said who you talking? Patterson.
Yeah. And his high school, East St. Louis had 3,
yeah,
Alabama signing, and Illinois signing, and Arkansas signing. How many lines like that in your recruiting have you come across? Just what do you think about him being part of that?
I don't know that I've ever, we went Pace Academy and got Jamari Sawyer and Andrew Thomas, but they were a year apart. They were on the same line. Both of them playing in the NFL. And it's rare. But East St. Louis, they do a great job, so, but it's very rare that happens. Got a good coach.
We haven't asked a single question about KJ because, it seems like it's a luxury, the experience that he's got. I mean, are there specific points in spring and summer workouts that you can point to, just
the type of impact that he's had? And do you have to kind of remind yourself at times, it's feels good to have a quarterback that you know and you can trust this season?
No, there's no reminder. I pretty much got that down, that part of it. But he is having fun. I think he's really confident. Really doing a nice job at leading. Really nice. It's easy to lead when it's positive. Hard to lead when what's coming out of your mouth is negative. And that goes for all of us, me included. But if you want to fix, you better lead in either category. And he certainly has done a good job with both of those. And I didn't mean that any other way than you don't have to be reminded, because the entire team looks at him as a leader, and he does a really nice job. I think it'll be a big year for him, because I think he still thinks he's got a lot to prove, and he does. All right, guys.